Hello and welcome to the Human Weave, to a brand new third season, Faces of Peace. I'm Roshni.
And I'm Yesh, and it means a lot that you're walking this journey with us today.
You know, Yash, when we were first talking about this season of peace, one thought kept coming back to me. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of understanding, balance, and compassion, among other things. And though we all keep looking for peace as a byproduct of others' actions, it is not something outside. It's not something we chase, but quietly find in ourselves. As Buddha says, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without.
Yeah, absolutely. And that what makes this journey so meaningful for everybody. We often think peace is out there in world and politics and resolutions, but really, I think it begins here in our hearts and then it ripples outwards to other people, to the world.
Yes, and that's why we call this season the Faces of Peace. Because peace is multi layered and has so many dimensions, so many reflections in our life, moving from inner peace, peace in relationships, to peace in social spaces, communities, peace with the environment and the world around us.
Yeah, when we pause and listen to different people, like we've been in our conversations, we realize so much. Each one carries a different doorway into peace. And in those stories, we realize, as Mahatma Gandhi also beautifully says, that peace is not the destination, peace is the path.
That's so true. That it's not a destination waiting somewhere far off that we need to reach, It's how we choose to walk every day on that path. That's what this season is about. Listening to voices, stories, and faces of peace and discovering how they connect back to our own lives.
Roshni, we can just maybe start with the obvious question on why peace? What made us choose this theme in the first place?
Yeah, I think most importantly, peace is interconnected and it weaves straight into the core of our existence. Like my peace, if I have peace within me, it influences yours, and also the communities and nations reflect the state of individuals within them. So I also think it comes from a very personal space. We live in such times where everything feels rushed, very noisy, sometimes even violent around us, not just around us but also inside us. And when we pause and ask, what do we really long for, more often than not it is peace.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet it is also misunderstood, right? It's not passive, it's not the silence for the sake of avoiding any fights or conflicts. Peace is pretty much active. It takes courage. It's about choosing how we respond every moment, whether it's inside our own minds or maybe with our relationships or within our own society that we live.
That's true. And that's what makes faces of peace so important, because peace doesn't look the same for everybody. What I think about peace and you think about peace can be very different, and even me thinking about peace in this moment can be very different from how I will look at it 5 years later. So for some it might be just a prayer, for some it can be activism, it could be art, or purely forgiveness.
Yeah, I think that what excites me about this season to see all the faces of peace. We are not here to give one definition of peace since there is no one single definition at all. We are here to explore through stories, reflections, and conversations the many ways peace can show up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very excited actually for this season. It's something that resonates very deeply for me on my journey right now, also. Just going back to Buddha's words, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Yash, I'm just curious to know, what does that statement mean to you?
Mm. While we were discussing about the season theme, I was also reflecting about what does it mean to me, what does peace to me personally, and I couldn't really find a single definition. It was just a feeling of being very unbothered. Probably a calm state within my own self. Only then external world will have any kind of influence. If there is no peace within, like you were mentioning earlier, there is no peace that can be imbibed from outside. So it's very personal and very internal. Just a feeling, I would say. I don't have a specific definition for it. If there is no peace inside, no matter what you are experiencing, no achievements, no success stories that you have outside will have any fulfillment, I guess. So that's peace for me.
Yeah, it's like trying to pour water from an empty jug. When you don't have it inside, how will you give it, or how will it ripple out from you? I was also thinking that along with that calmness, so calmness is something that we naturally associate with peace. But I also do see that sometimes, it's with calmness, it's a lot of clarity. Even when we are saying it's courageous, or it can show up in the form of activism, I also feel that sometimes it's the clarity of why you are doing this, and you are very aligned to yourself, true to yourself in that moment, and that is also when peace comes through.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Circling back to that image, if you don't have peace inside, like the water inside the jug, you cannot really pour it outward. So it's literally once we anchor it inside, that's where you can expand it outward also. So that's a beautiful image.
Yeah. And also the flip side of it, when I'm centered, when I am at peace within myself, even a chaotic environment can't take that away from me easily. It's I'm in control of it. It doesn't mean that I don't feel upset or hurt, but there is something that is anchoring me within.
Yeah, that's a strength. Nothing feels bothered when you have it internally, which is so strong. Maybe there are circumstances that can shake you, but the peace within can be so strong where you can be unbothered about it and handle it very smoothly than be in the chaotic situation.
That's true. And once we learn how to kind of anchor it in, I think naturally it expands outward. It touches people who are around us, our families, our close friends, people we work with. Everybody starts feeling it, and it kind of radiates outside.
Yeah. Having peace within is also like radiating peace to other people. So they get inspired with the peace one has. It can be
Yeah.
contagious for sure.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful word to use, that it is contagious. Like how we often talk about other emotions also, right? Like when you smile, people smile back at you. And I think it's very similar in energy that ways. When you are very peaceful, automatically the person next to you finds themselves getting peaceful.
Yeah. It can also be more like a mirror. If somebody is angry, the peace can reflect and soothe down the anger the other person has. Anger is not the solution to the person who's angry on the other side. So probably peace can be a good mirror for the other person to soothe down the anger or any other emotion, heavy emotion that can be reflected through peace.
Which is why this season doesn't just talk about the big, what we talk about usually is world peace, but the season is also going to talk about everyday peace. How we talk to a friend after an argument, how we treat ourselves when we make a mistake, how do we resolve differences at home. We'll be having various brilliant guests who will talk about peace in the context of neuroscience, mindfulness, spirituality, as well as what it means in socio cultural and global terms.
Yeah, maybe this is a good time for us to unpack our title, Faces of Peace. What does faces mean to you, Rosh?
I think it reminds us that peace wears different faces depending on the context in which we are. Sometimes it can be absolute silence. Sometimes it is about talking, having a dialogue. And sometimes I have also myself found peace in certain courageous actions, that we take in the context. So it isn't something that fits, one size fits all kind of a concept. It can wear different faces like compassion, justice, forgiveness, courage, like we said, and sometimes resilience, and so many more things. Sometimes it can even be a very loud no to violence or exploitation. So it doesn't have to always be very quiet and silent.
Yeah. Or it can just be their own self expression, maybe with respect to creativity. Sometimes it's just a song that you can sing along, or maybe a painting that you can do, or just a walk, quiet walk in the woods or in the nature. I think we often underestimate how perceive our art, culture, and environment, which are also the pathways to peace.
And when we listen to different people share their stories this season, I think we'll realize that peace isn't always very grand or dramatic. Sometimes it's found in the smallest of choices that we make. Maybe a pause before we react, a smile when we could frown, planting a tree instead of cutting one. These could all be ways we are connecting to peace.
Yeah. Like we've been talking about peace and how it can have ripple effect through world and connect us all as human beings. It does matter on how we have conversations on peace, and not just a normal conversation, but a whole podcast season, which we are
Yeah.
bringing on now.
Yes, yes. Like I said, I think since we started the podcast, peace has been on our minds as a season. We just wanted to bring it in slowly. It is because these kind of conversation can shape our consciousness, not just as individuals, but also our collective consciousness. And when we talk about peace, it's like, I feel it's like planting seeds that will grow and remind ourselves and others that peace is possible and that it begins with us. And maybe someone listening will pause before reacting in impulsive anger today. And that's already peace in action.
Yeah, I like that. It's just not about, like you were saying, big names of global peace, which might not be relevant to everybody, but it's about realizing peace in how we live on a day to day basis, how we practice it, how messy it can be, or how imperfect it can be. And yet, it is so necessary for us to lead our lives forward. It's a beautiful thought about peace, and I'm excited for the conversations for sure.
Yeah. And I think the point you are bringing here about it being messy and imperfect sometimes, we feel like, oh, I have finally found peace and now it's going to stay with me. And then next moment something happens and it's gone. And you wonder what happened, but it's important to bring that point also. Initially what we were saying, it's not about a destination, it's what you do on a daily basis, little small actions that you do on a daily basis. That is what brings peace. And I hope this season becomes a gentle way to reflect, where is peace showing up in my life, and where is it missing? How can I bring a little more of it into the world around?
Yeah. Together, I think this season will remind us that peace is both the journey inward and the way we walk outward with that. It's not the destination like we just spoke. It's about the journey, day to day journey, how we take it and move forward with that. And it's in the steps that we take. And every now and each moment is the choice that we make towards peace. And I think that's the heart of Faces of Peace. Each episode, the season will bring that step along the path in the journey towards peace, guided by voices who shows us new ways to see it, new faces to recognize, and new doorways to walk through.
So, dear listeners, as we begin this journey, we invite you to walk with us, to listen, to reflect, and to find the face of peace that speaks to you the most at this moment. Thank you for being here. Until next time, it is goodbye from your host, Yash and Rosh. May peace be the path you walk. And stay connected, stay curious.